Well, here we are, Wednesday, November 9th, 2022. I'm Larissa. This is my video diary. And, you know, I really think the best way to start the day is to drink from someone's skull. So, yesterday I heard there was a Russian statement um, admitting or saying that yes, they are in fact interfering in communities all over the world to create unrest in places where they can. And so, I think the people of Ethiopia and Eritrea would do well to sit down with each other and really have a long talk, because Russian manipulating and interference, right, through the Orthodox faith. And this is not a condemnation of Orthodox faith. This is an understanding of Orthodox culture, coming from having a large portion of my family who are Orthodox or have been Orthodox, right? Like, I understand it. I understand it's easy to manipulate a group that is has a propensity for arrogance, right? So, right, it has nothing to do with race. That has to do with the culture of Orthodox Christianity. It has nothing to do with race or even ethnicity, for that matter. I saw Joe Biden made some comment about the passing of some Greek Orthodox patriarch. Gonna start paying a little more attention now, huh? See, this is what happened with the Obama administration. They thought they knew everything, right? And because, Biden's Catholic and blah blah. No, Catholic and Orthodox are not the same. No, there are some big cultural differences, and they just thought they had it all figured out. They didn't realize they were willfully ignorant, and with their willful ignorance and their own myopic arrogance, they allowed and facilitated the mess of Ukraine to happen. And no, things were not better under Trump. He was fucking Putin's lapdog. Things would have been worse. Things would have been much, much worse. Right? With Trump. Would have been much, much worse. Can you imagine? Trump would have been sending money to Putin. Oh. Saw a photo of him with that creepy bitch down in Arizona. And she's all smiling and they're standing together and he's looking down her shirt. He's looking at her tits in the photo. He's looking at her tiny little fried egg tits on her chest. He is such a sleaze. He is such a sleaze. I'm like, oh, okay. Did he grab her by the pussy? Did he? Arizona. Poetic justice. Kentucky denied the anti-abortion language for its constitution. Sorry, Rand. Guess you're gonna have to honor your state's rights there, huh? Honor the wishes of your constituency, huh? Rand Paul. Oh, Mr. Paul, there's things I agree with you about, and there's other things I don't. Hmm? The sanctity of life. I love it when people talk about the sanctity of life. I'm like, really? Really? Where's the sanctity of my life been in my experience, huh? Where's that been honored? Huh? Anywhere? Rand, just because your dad was your daddy the one who was the gynecologist? I think he was, right? He's the gynecologist. Just because your daddy know about vaginas doesn't mean you do. And I wouldn't have trusted him with my vagina either. Hmm. Saw uh, another clip about this guy was doing. He said, "Oh, do this Google search. Look up sudden death, and then look at news in your search engine." And it comes up with all of these very stories about very, very young people suddenly dying. And he's talking about, vaccines and stuff. And he was showing like all of these clips of, things on TV and the media that, are sponsored by Pfizer or whatever. Well, they passed there was some sort of legislation or something that was passed. It was early on. It was in the news for like a couple days, and then you didn't see anything else about it. That with the initial CDC recommendation of vaccination, when they first started forcing everybody, they said, "Oh, you're not going to have to get it," and then, "Oh, you have to get it, or else you can't work, you can't have a life, you can't go anywhere, you have to like carry a little passport telling like all this shit that the Biden administration and Anthony Fauci and all them were pushing." Well, they passed something that said that you're not allowed to sue for adverse reactions in the United States, right? You're not allowed to sue the company or the CDC, right? Well, in Canada, there have been a number of lawsuits, right, from people who have been have been debilitated, right, by the vaccine. Yeah. So anyway, whatever. So, if like Republicans, if the GOP tries to push through a national abortion ban, I think I'd advocate for California leaving the United States. And I think Seattle or Washington and Oregon would probably go with us. I do. I think they would. I think they would. And then I think everybody'd be really fucked, right? Because that would be the whole western seaboard. Except for Alaska. But you'd have to go all the way through Canada to get there then. Wouldn't that be an interesting map to draw? No, I would. I'd advocate for that. I'd be on board with that. If GOP tries to push through an abortion ban, I would totally be on board for California leaving the union. Hell, Texas has it on their agenda every so many years, right? Secession. I would. I'd want a new flag though. I'm not crazy about the California flag as an artist. Like I'm not saying I don't like the symbolism or whatever. I'm saying aesthetically and as an artist, design wise, compositionally, I think it's lacking. I do. You got that bear with all that fine detail of its furs in the middle of the flag, all tiny. Like graphically, why'd you make that bear a lot bigger? Hmm? I'm just saying. I haven't even really looked at many of the election results. I haven't. locally yesterday, and I was out and about. There are big accidents on 17. There frequently are when it's raining, but and I think the first accident I passed, I think, was definitely because of the rain. The second one I passed, I have to wonder because where it was at, it's like there's just before Santa Cruz and Los Gatos, right in that area there. So when you cross the line, then when you cross the line again from Los Gatos to San Jose, um, there's turfing that's been going on 17 for quite some time, and the graffiti, you can see that in the graffiti that's on the sidewalls and stuff along there, and they do a pretty good job about covering it up or whatever. But if you follow the graffiti and the change in the graffiti, you can see what's going on. It's turfing. And I've been like they run scams. Like they tried to do this to me down in Santa Cruz shortly after we moved here, uh, trying to force me into a fender bender so that they could get my information, and then they rob you or whatever. Right, and our house was broken into a bunch of times after that, or they tried to extort you for money. This bitch was trying to get $2,000 out of me. There wasn't even any dent on her car, right? There wasn't even any dent on her car. She was the one who's behind me, so technically it would have been her fault anyway. But she thought she was going to intimidate me, right? But she didn't. She said her name was Lucy. And anyway, they run these scams. They run these scams, and then they've been running one up there because they've tried to run me off the road a number of times up there. They follow you, and then there'll be another car that comes off of the shoulder or whatever just before the next line, the next, you know, border, and they'll chase you into the other area, right? That's what they do, and that's where this accident was. It was really bad, and they had it. The road was clear. Like when I came up on it, it was obvious it was fairly fresh because there was still somebody sitting in the one vehicle. I don't know if they were conscious or not, but the vehicles weren't on the road. The road itself wasn't blocked, but it was a bad accident, right? There was crunching. It was crunched. And there were like 20 cop cars, and they had closed off four exits, two on either side, right? And they were looking for someone. So like I wonder, did whoever was in driving that car or whatever, did they take off and they were out there looking for them? Because it's somebody who lives in those. It's all mountain community along here, right? So it's somebody who lives back in one of those little enclaves, right? That's what they do. It's what they do. They've tried to get me a number of times, but I'm a really good driver. Yeah, yeah. See, here in California, especially after it's been so dry when the first rain comes, there's like oil and stuff from cars and stuff on the paved roads, and the water makes like a slick, right? It pulls all that oil up, and it's collected. It's been collected for a long time, and the water gets up under that oil and makes a slick, and so it gets really kind of treacherous going around the bends, right? Going around the curves. And on 17, there's like no shoulder for so much of the road. They really need to widen 17. 17. I don't think you don't we don't need I don't think that needs another lane, but I think there needs to be shoulder, you know? There does. There needs to be shoulder. But then people would have to give up some of their property, huh? Yeah, that's what would have to happen because people own property up to that line. But it's a big mess. Yeah, and so people live back there on those properties and stuff in the enclaves, right? Yeah, that's what they do. That's how they make their living. Extorting people, banging up their cars and extorting them, getting their information, right? If they don't like what you're doing, if they can't control you in community or whatever, and they'll come after you on the road, right? Hmm. That's what they do, right? That's what the word "gyp" means. That's why I don't like it. Do I resent when people use it against me? Because no, I don't live that way. Yeah, that's how that shit works. And they had a woman working down in the, or volunteering or something, down in the Santa Cruz police office. Because when they were doing that, when they did that to me up here on Water Street, and then they were siphoning my gas and stuff, follow me around places. I'd go down to the police wouldn't do a goddamn thing. And so finally, I went into the office the one day, and there was a bitch sitting there working. I'm like, oh, I see. This is internal politics. Yeah, the way that shit works. Mm-hmm. Rained so much yesterday. It was amazing. I really hope we have some more rain today. I really do. Brody doesn't know yet exactly what's happening today, but he's going to find out. I've had enough of his dirt assness, and I've had enough of him not let me brush him. We're going to go get that taken care of today. That shit's going to get done. He's going to go get dead. He's going to go get dead. Get all dead. He's going to get all dead. They're going to have to tie up his face. He does not like being brushed, and it's so weird. I have never, ever, ever met a dog who did not like being brushed. Never. He's such a weirdo. He's going to get brushed today. He's going to get brushed, and he's going to get whooshed. They're going to pamp his shoe. And get pamp shooed. So I got 2 jackets down there that are almost finished. Yeah. They're both about at the same place. I got to put both of them. I got to put the bias tape in the underarm seam. It's my least favorite part. It's my least favorite part of the jacket. It's the most challenging part because of that curve. It is. I'm going to get that done. And then the binding goes on. And I need to put together a tag for the one. So, yeah. That's what's going on here. That's what's going on here. And once I get those 2 jackets out of the way, I can work on my next little thing. My next little testy test thing. My next little testy test thing. Testy test thing. Testes. Testes. No, I'm not making testes. Although that'd be funny. I could make big old testes. Send them to people. Testes award. You got balls. I like drinking from Skull in the morning. It's a good way to start the day. Anyway. Anyway.